Welcome to Jesus On, a look at today's issues from an eternal perspective. Pastor Zack and Pastor John will be giving us biblical insight into some of the problems the world faces today. Sit back and listen as we hear Jesus on the problems you're dealing with right now.
Hey, my name is Zack, and right next to me here is Amy. And usually Pastor John joins me. He is on sabbatical. But I asked Amy to join because we have a unique topic here today about Jesus on. And we are doing Jesus on
Motherhood.
Jesus on motherhood. So Amy has 4 kids. Amy plays a significant role in our women's ministry here, leading Bible studies and our worship ministry. And you're a mom and I'm not. And so I would love, why don't you kick us off? Jesus on motherhood, go.
Well, thanks so much, Pastor Zack, for having me to talk about this topic today. Yes, I am a mom of 4 kids. My oldest is 14. And so for 14 years or even a little more, I've heard lots of opinions on what it is to be a good mom, how to raise your children well from the people around me. I've heard them from social media, from blogs, from books, and it can get so confusing and honestly discouraging a lot of the time because how are you supposed to know which way is best? And I just want to share the hope that when we follow Jesus, we know we're in good hands. And you might be thinking, Jesus doesn't say, this is how you should be a mom. He does not give steps on how to be a mom or even warnings of how not to be a mom. But we do see good things for moms in his life and in the Gospels. One of those things we see first off is, I want to make sure you know, Jesus respects mothers deeply. We know that when Jesus was on the cross, he's dying, he's in pain, he's saving the world. And he takes a moment to look at his disciple John and say, please take care of my mother. And so even in that important moment, his mom was on his mind. He has great respect for mothers and what they do. And the other thing I want to point out is that Jesus doesn't call moms to go to places he didn't go himself. We know that Jesus wants all of his followers to love one another like he loves us. And when we have children that are in our care, we have so many opportunities to love those people that we're caring for. We have so many opportunities to serve the people we're caring for. And we know that Jesus calls us to be the servant of all. And he commends people who serve. So if you're a mom and you're putting on shoes again, you are serving people that he's given you in your life. We know that Jesus feeds people. We know he cleans people. He didn't change diapers, but he washed feet in ancient Jerusalem, which might have been as challenging a task. I don't know. I haven't been there.
Men's feet.
Men's feet. He had to clean people. And he calls us to follow him. We can follow him in that, knowing that we are doing something pleasing to him. We know that he healed people. Kids run to their moms when they're hurt. And while we might not be able to heal them from sickness, we know where to take them to get help. We know where to give them medicine. So many examples that we can follow and know that Jesus is with us every step of the way because he has been there before. How about you, Zack? What are some of your thoughts on motherhood? I know you're not one.
I'm not a mom.
You do have one.
I do have one. I'm married to a mother. We have 4 kids. I just want to make a point of what you said. I do love how you pointed out that we don't have the Sermon on the Mount for moms.
Right.
But we do have the Sermon on the Mount, and so much of that can be applied directly to your children. In fact, I will quote the Sermon on the Mount to my kids. There are certain aspects of it. Treat one another the way you should treat each other. Or when Jesus talks about forgiveness, I often think about in the context of forgiving adults, but I got to forgive my children, and my children need to forgive me. And Jesus has things to say about all of that. And so we don't need to have Jesus speak directly on a subject for it to apply to our lives, but to take all the incredible things he said and go, how does that apply to this part of my life, in this case, motherhood? What comes to mind for me, Jesus on motherhood, is I think of that passage where it says they brought their children to Jesus, and Jesus is laying his hands on them and he's blessing them. And I do get this picture of, if these children are anything like my children, is some of them might be crying, some of them might be cranky, some of them might not want to even have Jesus. Can you imagine? I really think that there's kids like, no, I don't want,
I don't know him.
Yeah, I don't know him. And yet Jesus is inviting these kids. The disciples, who are all, 12 guys, are saying, get the kids out of here. It's too chaotic. But Jesus says, no, let the children come to me. And though it doesn't say explicitly that it was moms who was doing this, it says they brought their children. I think that we can safely say that it was at least some moms were doing this. And so when I read that, I think the power of a mom who brings their kid to Jesus and says, Jesus, bless my child. Jesus, I need your help with my child. I think of the story of that Canaanite woman who has a daughter who's demon possessed, and this mom who's probably tried everything to get the help her daughter needs. Now, most likely, I'm hoping that there's not a lot of people listening to this going, that's the problem, my kid's demon possessed. Maybe that's not the issue. But I wonder how many moms there are going, my kid has a chronic illness, my kid has anxiety, my kid, fill in the blank. We're in a season right now where one of our kids, we're just facing a challenge that we're like, we've tried everything. And what does this Canaanite woman do? She brings the child to Jesus, and Jesus does what the mom can't. And Jesus on Motherhood, I think there's something to be said about the power of moms bringing their kids to Jesus. It's what my mom did for me. My mom led me to faith, and I praise God for that role that she played. Moms, bring your kids to Jesus.
Yes, bring your kids to Jesus, because if you're a mom and you haven't found a struggle yet, you will. You will find some kind of struggle. And we can trust that God is good and will be there to show us what we need to do, and will be there with our kids when we can't be, in ways that we can't be as moms or dads or anyone else. There's just things that God can do that we can't, but that we can trust him with as we follow him in motherhood and other roles in our life.
And there's a lot of people who might be listening to this that want to be moms and haven't because of infertility or miscarriages, or maybe they're not even married. They're just looking and longing to be moms. But I'm specifically thinking of those who want to be moms, and for some reason, God has them in a season where they cannot have a child, a biological child. As a mom, would you just, what would you say to moms that are struggling with that, or desiring moms?
Yeah, I just really want to encourage you that God sees you and he sees your desire. And with anything with motherhood, you're going to have a time where you're going to need to trust Jesus with that. And women out there, if you haven't already, you're going to have to come to the question of motherhood. Do I want to be a mom? Maybe I don't want to be a mom, and how is everyone else going to react about that? Maybe I do want to be a mom and it hasn't happened for whatever reason. Maybe I am a mom and it's not what I thought it was going to be. All of those are things that Jesus sees, and all of those are things that are not too big for him. Each of those are an invitation to come to him with your desires, with your pain, with your questions. He can handle all of that. And that's an invitation into deeper relationship with him. And my heart goes out to you if that's the position that you're in. But there is hope in coming to Jesus with that.
So good. Any just last thoughts, comments, challenges about Jesus on motherhood you'd want to share?
Absolutely. So we kind of talked. This really goes true for mothers, people who want to be mothers, fathers, any role that you're in. Bring your struggles to Jesus. Following Jesus as a woman does not mean you need to be a mom. And you can have just as deep a relationship with him as any mother, as a woman. or as a father, or as a teacher, or whatever your role is in this world, God has a plan for you. So please be encouraged by that. But whatever that career or role is, especially women who are in motherhood, consider to yourself, where am I finding my validation? Where am I finding my encouragement? There are things that are going to let you down. The internet's going to let you down in encouragement and validation. It's easy to go on Instagram and see a mom who did a birthday party and you think, oh, I really, really let my kid down. That's not where we want to be finding our encouragement and our validation for anything. Go to Jesus for your encouragement and your validation, and he will be there for you to speak into whatever it is that you are going through. We know that we can trust him. And one of the reasons we can trust him is because he does what we can't. When we bring to him what we have, he'll fill in all the gaps. So bring to him, just like that boy who brought his loaves and his fishes to feed 5,000 people, and it didn't seem possible. We can bring the energy we have after sleeping not very much the night before. We can bring to him that feeling of, I want to keep going, but I'm at the end of my rope with knowing what to do about this issue. We can bring to him that desire of, I really have this and it's weighing me down. Whatever we have, we can bring to him and know that we are enough because he is enough. He can do what we can't with the little that we have. And one more thing I want to say to encourage everyone is a quote from Ruth Bell Graham, and she says, as a mother, it's my job to take care of the possible and to trust God with the impossible. And I just find that so encouraging because we know that he can be trusted.
So good. Those of you who aren't moms, maybe you're a son like me or a husband to a mom, I would encourage you to this. Proverbs 31 talks about a husband of a godly wife, godly mom, and the children of a godly mom. It says they rise up and they call her blessed. They literally are blessing her and thanking her. Call up your mom. Say thank you. Call up your mom, text your mom, and just say thank you, I love you, and call her blessed. So thanks for joining us for Jesus On.